Tall glass windows overlooked Central Park, where late autumn leaves burned orange against the darkening sky. Inside, warm golden light poured from crystal chandeliers. The air smelled faintly of butter, truffle oil, and polished wood. Conversations floated in low, confident tones, deals being made, anniversaries celebrated, successes quietly displayed. Daniel Whitmore preferred places like this. Predictable, controlled, refined. He sat perfectly straight in his tailored navy suit, reviewing emails on his phone while waiting for dessert. His schedule for the next day was already mapped out in his mind: investor breakfast at subah ke 7 baje, strategy call at subah ke 9 baje, board meeting at 11:30. Efficiency wasn't just part of his life, it was his identity. Across from him, 8-year-old Sophie traced patterns in the condensation on her water glass. Her curls framed a thoughtful face that was far too observant for her age. Dessert for the young lady, the waiter said, placing a warm chocolate lava cake in front of her. Steam rose gently as the center melted into glossy richness. Sophie usually clapped when dessert arrived. Tonight, she didn't. Daniel glanced up. "You're done, tea like it?" She didn't answer right away. Instead, her eyes were fixed somewhere beyond him. Daniel followed her gaze. Near the large window sat a small, quiet table, the kind restaurants keep for last-minute reservations. A young woman in a faded blue sweater sat there, her shoulders slightly hunched, as if trying to take up less space than she deserved. Across from her sat a little boy, maybe 5 or 6. His sneakers were scuffed at the toes. His hands rested carefully in his lap. There was one plate between them. A grilled cheese sandwich. The mother cut it slowly, methodically, sliding most of the triangles toward the boy. She kept only a small corner for herself. Sophie leaned closer to her father. "Papa." Daniel lowered his phone. "Yes. Can I share with them?" she whispered, pointing gently with her chin. Daniel's eyes lingered on the table for a moment. He immediately felt the discomfort that always came when reality disrupted luxury. He had trained himself not to stare, not to interfere, not to make situations awkward, for them or for himself. His father's voice echoed from decades ago. "You survive by focusing on your own plate, Daniel. The world won't hand you seconds." He had built everything by following that rule. "Sweetheart," he began carefully, "they're probably fine." Sophie frowned slightly. "He keeps looking at other people's food." Daniel glanced again. The boy was trying not to stare, but he was failing adorably. Every time a server passed with a sizzling steak or towering burger, his eyes followed it like a puppy watching a moving treat. Then he'd quickly look down at his water, pretending he hadn't. Daniel shifted in his seat. His instinct was to redirect Sophie. To distract her. That was easier. But Sophie kept watching. "He's pretending," she said softly. "Like when I pretend I'm not scared of the dark." Daniel felt something tighten unexpectedly. He remembered being a boy in Chicago winters. Remembered sitting in diners where his mother counted coins before ordering. Remembered the practiced smile she wore when she told him she wasn't very hungry tonight. He hadn't thought about that in years. Success had buried those memories beneath contracts and capital. "Papa," Sophie said again, this time almost pleading. "I can't eat all of this." Daniel looked at her lava cake. Then at the single sandwich across the room. The restaurant's soft piano music suddenly felt too delicate for the weight in his chest. His habit said, "Stay seated. Finish dinner. Leave a generous tip. Go home." Kindness, however, required interruption. And Daniel was not used to being interrupted. Sophie gently picked up her dessert plate with both hands. "Can I ask them?" she said. Daniel almost said no. The word formed automatically. But then the boy across the room laughed at something his mother said, a bright, unfiltered laugh that didn't match the quiet tension of their table. Daniel saw pride in the mother's eyes. And exhaustion. He noticed the careful way she folded the napkin to hide that she hadn't eaten much. He exhaled slowly. "Wait," he said. Sophie froze mid-stand. Daniel sat his phone face down on the table. For once, he ignored the buzzing notification. "Let's do this properly," he murmured. He stood. Sophie's face lit up, hopeful, glowing. They walked across the polished floor together. Each step felt strangely heavy to Daniel, as if he were walking against years of conditioning. The mother noticed them approaching and immediately straightened. Protective instinct flickered across her face. "Yes?" she asked cautiously. Daniel offered a calm, respectful smile. "I'm sorry to interrupt. My daughter has ordered far more dessert than she can manage." Sophie nodded enthusiastically. "I don't like eating cake alone," she added honestly. The little boy's eyes widened at the sight of the lava cake. The mother hesitated. Pride battled need in her expression. That's very kind, but we couldn't. It would actually help us, Daniel said gently. She insists. There was no pity in his tone. Only sincerity. Sophie stepped closer and placed the plate carefully in the center of their table. The boy looked at his mother for permission. After a long pause, she nodded. Say thank you, Matteo. Thank you, he whispered. He took one careful bite. Chocolate smudged the corner of his mouth. And then he smiled. It wasn't polite. It wasn't restrained. It was pure joy. Sophie giggled instantly. Daniel felt something inside him soften, something that had grown rigid over time. He surprised himself by pulling out a chair. Maybe, he asked. The mother blinked, startled. You don't have to. I'd like to, Daniel replied. They sat. Conversation started awkwardly but slowly warmed. Her name was Elena. She worked at a hospital laundry facility. Double shifts when she could get them. Matteo loved dinosaurs. He corrected Sophie passionately about the difference between a T-Rex and a velociraptor. Daniel found himself listening, not analyzing, not planning, listening. When the waiter approached hesitantly, Daniel added quietly, another sandwich. And whatever they'd like for dessert. Elena's eyes shimmered. You really don't have to. I know, Daniel said. And he meant it. He wasn't doing it because he had to. He was doing it because he chose to. Because his daughter had reminded him that discipline builds wealth, but compassion builds humanity. Dinner stretched longer than scheduled. Daniel didn't check his watch. Didn't check his phone. When they finally stood to leave, Matteo hugged Sophie impulsively. Best cake ever, he declared. Sophie beamed. As Daniel and Sophie walked back to their car under the glowing Manhattan skyline, she slipped her hand into his. Papa, yes, sharing feels warm. Daniel looked down at her small hand in his. He realized something profound. For years, he had built habits that protected him. Tonight, his daughter had helped him build one that opened him. And for the first time in a long time, Daniel felt full, not from food, not from success, but from something far richer. Something that would not stay confined to a single table by the window. Outside, snow drifted softly over Manhattan. Inside, crystal chandeliers reflected off polished marble as New York's elite gathered for the Whitmore Foundation Winter Gala, an annual event known for million-dollar pledges and carefully rehearsed speeches. But this year felt different. Backstage, Daniel Whitmore adjusted his cufflinks and glanced at his reflection. He looked the same, sharp suit, composed posture, controlled expression. But inside, something had shifted. It had started as a single dinner interruption. Now it was a pattern. Every Friday evening, no matter how busy the week had been, Daniel and Sophie visited somewhere new, a community center, a public hospital wing, a children's shelter. No press, no announcements, just presence. At first, Daniel treated it like a scheduled obligation. Now it was the part of the week he protected most fiercely. A new habit had taken root. And habits, Daniel knew, build futures. 5 minutes, Mr. Whitmore, his assistant said. Daniel nodded. From behind the velvet curtain, he scanned the ballroom. Diamonds flashed. Champagne glasses clinked. Donors laughed in tight circles. And then, he saw them. Near the back of the room stood Elena. She wore a simple navy dress, elegant in its simplicity. Her posture was straighter than the night they'd met. Beside her stood Matteo in a tiny charcoal suit, hair neatly combed, eyes wide with wonder. Daniel felt something electric spark through him. They weren't seated at the edges anymore. They belonged here. He stepped away from backstage and walked straight toward them, ignoring the confused look from his event coordinator. Elena, he said warmly. She turned, surprised, then smiled. You remembered. I don't forget good cake, he replied lightly. Matteo gasped. Mr. Cake Man. Daniel laughed, a real, unguarded laugh. What are you doing here? He asked gently. Elena's eyes glistened. That night, she said quietly, you didn't just pay for dinner. You sat with us. You talked to my son like he mattered. Daniel swallowed. You both mattered. She nodded. I went home that night and applied for an SM program I'd been too scared to try for. I start next month. Daniel felt the weight of that sentence. One shared desert. One decision to stand up. And now, a future rewritten. Matteo tugged Daniel's sleeve. Mom says I can be a bone scientist if I study hard. A paleontologist, Daniel corrected with a smile. Yes, Matteo grinned. The announcer's voice echoed through the room. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Daniel Whitmore. Applause thundered as Daniel stepped onto the stage. He approached the podium, notes prepared. Statistics ready. Growth charts memorized. He looked down at the paper. Then out at the crowd. And then at Sophie, seated at the front table, swinging her feet slightly, watching him with bright expectation. Daniel slowly set his speech aside. 3 months ago, he began, his voice steady but different, softer. My daughter asked me a question. The room quieted. She said, Papa, can I share with them? Light laughter rippled through the audience. I almost said no, he admitted. Not because I didn't care, but because I was used to not noticing. Silence settled deeper now. In business, we talk about the power of habit. We build habits of discipline, of persistence, of ambition. He paused. But what if we built habits of kindness with the same intensity? The ballroom grew still. That night, sharing dessert didn't change my net worth. It changed my awareness. He gestured gently toward Elena and Matteo. One small interruption in routine reminded me that success without compassion is incomplete. He looked at the sea of wealthy faces. We are powerful people in this room. But power is not proven by what we accumulate. It is proven by what we notice. A quiet murmur of agreement moved through the crowd. So tonight, our foundation isn't just funding programs. We are launching a citywide initiative, weekly community dinners hosted by business leaders across Manhattan. Whispers turned into surprise applause. Not as charity, Daniel continued, but as connection. Because generosity should not be occasional. It should be habitual. Applause rose, louder now. More genuine. Daniel stepped back from the podium, but the clapping didn't stop immediately. He descended the stage and walked straight to Sophie. She threw her arms around him. Did I do good, Papa? She whispered. He knelt to her level. You did more than good, he said, voice thick with emotion. You built a better habit in me. Behind them, donors were already speaking with foundation directors. Conversations were shifting. Pledges were increasing. But Daniel barely noticed. He watched Elena speaking confidently with a hospital administrator. He watched Matteo animatedly explaining dinosaurs to a hedge fund manager. And Daniel understood something profound. Habits shape character. Character shapes legacy. And legacy isn't written in stock portfolios. It's written in the lives you quietly help rewrite. Later that night, as snow fell gently outside, Sophie pointed toward a waiter clearing a table alone. Papa, she whispered with a mischievous smile, can we share the leftovers? Daniel chuckled. Lead the way. Because now, he didn't hesitate. Kindness had become automatic. And that, Daniel realized, was the most powerful investment he would ever make.